It was the Prohibition era in the United States when alcohol was banned, and a man named John Smith decided to cross the Texas border into Mexico. Through his thoughts, we discover that John is a true wanderer, always on the road. This time, he decides to stop in a small town called Jericho, about 50 kilometers from the Mexican border. The place is dominated by two major gangs, one led by the Irishman Doyle and the other by the Italians, headed by Fredo Strozzi. Upon arriving in Jericho, John encounters some gang members by the roadside, and to make things even more bizarre, a coffin seller gives him a sinister smile. Before even stepping foot in the town, John gets into trouble with Doyle's crew by accidentally looking at Felina, the Irish boss's girlfriend. Of course, this enrages the henchmen, who soon vandalize John's car. Frustrated and out of options, John tries to seek help from the sheriffs, Ed G. and Bob, but they are as brave as chickens, suggesting he leaves town as quickly as possible. While waiting for his car to be repaired, John heads to a local bar, run by a man named Joe Monday. There, he learns that the thugs who ruined his car belong to the Irish gang. Joe explains that the two gangs have been at war since they arrived in Jericho, and the constant shootouts have caused many of the town's residents to flee. Determined to get back at them, John grabs his gun and heads to the Irish headquarters to demand compensation. As expected, the conversation doesn't go well. Doyle's men try to take him down, but John, showing skills worthy of a protagonist from The Untouchables, quickly dispatches them to the beyond. News of the shootouts soon reaches Strozzi's ears, who is impressed by John's prowess and invites him to join his Italian gang, offering good money for the job. John accepts but soon realizes that there is no honor among thieves and that the town is about to turn into a battlefield. After a rough night at Joe's motel, where John nearly loses his head to an Irish trap, he is rescued by Lucy Kalinske, Strozzi's girlfriend and assistant. On that rainy night, John tries to uncover the mystery surrounding Strozzi's first name, but Lucy dodges, claiming it's a secret reserved for intimate moments. The next day, Strozzi devises a bold plan to get back at Doyle, now that he has discovered his enemy controls the liquor supply coming from Mexico. With the help of corrupt officials, the Italian gang successfully hijacks a liquor shipment destined for Doyle. John, always the master manipulator, passes this information on to Sheriff Ed, hoping he will sell the tip to Doyle. And to add to the confusion, John begins to play both sides, sometimes providing information to the Italians, sometimes to the Irish, always with one eye on the reward and the other on keeping his own skin intact. Throughout this mess, John realizes that the real key to survival is getting the gangs to destroy each other. He plants the seed of discord between Doyle and Strozzi, manipulates information, and even seduces Lucy to extract secrets from her that can be sold at a high price. Eventually, his strategy works when Hickey, a notorious psychopath from the Irish gang, is sent to Mexico to disrupt a meeting between Giorgio, Strozzi's cousin, and Ramirez, the police chief at the border. Like in a good action crime movie, Hickey wastes no time and starts shooting, turning the bar into a real war zone. This film is a loose remake of Yojimbo, a classic Japanese film directed by Akira Kurosawa in 1961. Now, putting myself in John's shoes, I certainly wouldn't get into a gang fight without a clear escape plan and would definitely avoid drawing the attention of any crime boss. On the other hand, I think I would try to do exactly what John did, play both sides against each other to get out unscathed. John decided to take a trip to an old church in a forgotten corner of Jericho, where he found Felina praying for her deceased daughter. Felina shared her sad story. She had been married to a poor man and had a daughter, but Doyle, who loved her obsessively, kidnapped her. The outcome? She lost her daughter. John, already surprised to find Felina without bodyguards, was even more perplexed when she explained that the church was the only place where Doyle didn't send anyone to watch her. Back in town, John met Captain Tom Pickett, a veteran of the Texas Rangers, who asked John to help rid Jericho of the gangsters. The plan? Continue playing both sides without fully committing to either, to be able to destroy one. Tom gave John 10 days to resolve the situation and authorized any necessary methods. Meanwhile, Hickey and his crew went to the Italians' headquarters and announced they had captured Giorgio, demanding a ransom of $100,000. The gangs agreed to make the exchange at the US-Mexico border. On the scheduled day, Strozzi showed up with a suitcase full of papers. Doyle, furious, could do nothing since Strozzi had Felina as a hostage. However, Doyle, out of love for Felina, accepted the deal and took her away. The next day, Lucy found John and told him that Strozzi had beaten her the night before and that she was desperate to leave Jericho. Without thinking twice, John gave her money to start over in another town. Later, John met with Doyle and said he wanted to join his gang, but of course, he asked for payment in advance. In a clever move, John got Felina's location, promising to protect her. When he got there, he eliminated the guards and freed Felina, giving her money to escape. The next day, Doyle discovered John's lie when he found Felina's necklace in his pocket. Mercilessly, he ordered his men to beat John until he confessed where Felina was. Even severely injured, John did not say a word. Eventually, he managed to escape, and Doyle, furious, ordered all exits of the town to be blocked. While Doyle and his men attacked Strozzi's casino, thinking John was there, Joe, who had hidden John in his bar, ended up being captured by Hickey and tortured but refused to speak. John, still recovering, decided to return to Jericho to save Joe. He launched an attack on Doyle's men and, in the end, set up a meeting with Doyle and Hickey at the old church. In the final showdown, Joe, who was hiding, shot Doyle, and John finished the job. Hickey tried to trick John with a challenge but ended up dead. In the end, John took Felina's necklace from Doyle's coat and drove towards Mexico, leaving Jericho and all the confusion behind. Now, if I were John, I admit I wouldn't have left that necklace in such an obvious place. A rookie mistake. And also, what about this idea of infiltrating two gangs at once? Well, I wouldn't get involved in that even for all the money in the world. But I admired his boldness and standing firm, even knowing he was walking on a minefield. As I mentioned, this film was inspired by a Japanese classic where a samurai manipulates two rival clans, much like what John did here. An interesting point I noticed is how betrayal and loyalty are played back and forth like chess pieces, where survival depends on who makes the smartest move. If you were in John's place, could you keep control by playing both sides without going crazy? I probably couldn't. Stay well, everyone, and see you in the next video.
And I gotta tell you, it was perfect. Perfect.